All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to TokiTV. Today is December the 4th. And put my little banner up so that today's December the 4th. It says so right at the very top. Thank you guys for being with us each and every week as we gather in faith, prayer, and education for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. We have quite a few people on the screen today. It's going to be a good show. It's going to be a good show. People know the drill. People are putting their names in the chat. Thank you very much. Gloria and Tim and Tammy and Christina and Maria and Carmela and Valerie, and there's people from all over. So just so you know, if I don't say your name, it's only because it doesn't show up on my little side thing here. So you might actually have to put your name, even though it says your name. And Ola's here from Germany. Gloria, you guys, thank you very much. A couple of people from Germany. Thanks for being with us. Like we do every week, let's get ourselves grounded a little bit before we get going with today's show. So let out 3 big breaths on your own. Just let it out. Just 3 big, deep breaths. Let's hear it. Let it out. 2 more. You sound like a whole pod of orcas releasing all that air. All right. And then now let's do some breathing together, guys. So we're going to breathe in very, very slowly. We're going to breathe in peace. Ready? Breathe in through your nose. And we're going to breathe out love. Imagine that we're standing there with Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. Breathe in peace. And breathe out love. And this last one, let's breathe it in very slowly. Get as much as we can. Breathe in peace. And breathe out love. All right. Thank you, guys. Sometimes just a little bit of breathing can really just kind of get ourselves grounded and together. So thank you guys very much again for being with us. Let's just do some quick check-ins. Christina, how's it going?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to hear all this wonderful news, and happy to be here. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being with us. Alejandro.
I'm very happy to be here. I'm waiting for the December 13 in Miami, so I'll be there just supporting our angel, TokiTV.
Yes. Thank you. Deborah?
Love and light from Whidbey Island in the middle of a little bit of Griswold Christmas stuff, but happy to be here and help stay grounded and hold this space for our sister Sk'ali.
Awesome. And Deb Cruz, the talkative Deb Cruz, how's it going?
It is.
Okay. Well, I will say I'm super excited for today. We have some great guests coming up. So I'm feeling good, you guys. We have the conference coming up. We're all staying very positive about that, and we're all looking forward to that. It's really, really good. And yeah, so I'm feeling good. Carla, how are you feeling? How's it going?
I'm great. Hi, everyone. I would like to say, if I'm allowed, Annette, a big shout out to Tim Ramets. He's always supporting Keiko the Untold Story on Facebook, and he's sharing all our content. So, hola, Tim. Thank you for everything you do for Keiko. I hope I'll meet you soon in person. And hello to dear Alejandro, Debra, Deb, Cristina, hola, and you, Annette, of course, and our guests today, Heather and Dr. Chris. Hi.
Thank you so much. And we're going to hear more about Tim at the very end of the show. So good for bringing him up. Yes, awesome. Well, guys, we have some special guests with us today, and I'm going to do my best to read a little bit of the bios here. So Dr. Chris Kevorkian is a thanatologist specializing in biocentric thanatology. She holds a doctoral degree in thanatology, the study science of death, dying, and grief. Her experience includes working as a deputy coroner, assisting with autopsies and documenting evidence, and as a hospice medical social worker, offering emotional support and counseling to terminally ill patients, from young children to elders and their families. And it cut it off. So I'm going to stop there, and you're probably wondering, what does that have to do with what we're doing? You're going to find out. And Heather Nicholson is a cohabitant with the southern resident killer whales in the Salish Sea portion of their home, a constituent and electric cooperative co-owner. Yes, I read that right. She is engaged with and utilizing all means at hand to promptly bring about conditions for these whales, associated life forms, and ecosystems to thrive. So welcome, Heather and Dr. Chris. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having us. This is awesome.
Thank you, Annette.
Deborah tagged me in a post last night, and it was a post that Dr. Chris had put in about some exciting stuff coming up tomorrow. And so I reached out late last night, and Chris and Heather jumped on it to be with us today. So just want to give you guys a special shout out for doing this last minute, because the timing is absolutely perfect, and that's just how it goes usually with us. So I'm going to turn it over to you two. And Dr. Chris, why don't we start with you?
Thank you. So it's just such an honor to be here with all of you and with your audience. And thank you so much for everything that you're doing for the Southern residents, especially for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. I am coming to you from the ancestral lands of the people of the Puyallup tribe. If you wouldn't mind indulging me, I'd like to give a nature acknowledgement. That nature was here before us, gave birth to all that we know and love, and will endure long after this presentation and this podcast is turned to dust. We affirm our shared responsibility to nature. We commit ourselves to caring for nature and defending nature from harm, and we strive to honor nature with our lives and actions. So I'm coming to you from Gig Harbor, and the reason that I am here is that I started a group called Legal Rights for the Salish Sea back in 2016 with a group of friends in Gig Harbor. And we connected on, we were actually supporting Bernie Sanders' campaign. And when that kind of fizzled out, I said, why don't we work on a Rights of Nature campaign? We had heard about the Rights of Nature from the Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund and started coming up with different ways to somehow recognize the inherent rights of the Salish Sea. But people struggled with that because they weren't all that aware that the Salish Sea also is a Puget Sound part of it. So whenever we would say we're legal rights for the Salish Sea, people said, what's the Salish Sea? So in 2018, when TokiTV lost her calf, we thought, you know what, let's focus on the Southern residents because people can resonate more with the Southern residents than they can in actual sea for some folks. Either way we looked at it, whether we were getting rights for the Salish Sea or the Southern residents, both would have to be thriving. You can't have one without another. You can't have a Salish Sea that's polluted, that is the home to Southern residents, and the Southern residents thriving. So it had to work together. In 2018, we also met with Michelle Bender from the Earth Law Center, who is their ocean campaign manager. She has been instrumental and pioneer in ocean rights campaigns. And we were so fortunate to meet with her. And since then, we've just been working very hard on educating people about the rights of nature. And basically, it's a paradigm shift for a lot of people. It's a bit challenging for some to understand what it's all about. Simply put, it's basically recognizing that we all have rights. We know that humans have rights, and so why shouldn't nature? I'm absolutely floored by the fact that, having gone through a pandemic with everybody and their brother finally recognizing our need to be with nature. If you hear anything from mental health professionals and physicians, especially during the pandemic, people were encouraging patients and clients, go out in nature, to be with nature. And I would always say, this is great, but then you're getting this wonderful benefit from nature, but what is nature benefiting from you being, quote unquote, out in her? And it's challenged a few people to think about, what am I doing for nature? Am I just taking nature for granted? Because we tend to do that. We think of nature as property, as a commodity. I always find it so fascinating that we want to be around nature, and yet we'll destroy nature to build to be near nature, if that made sense. It's just kind of crazy. And so we've been working really hard to educate decision makers about recognizing the rights of the Southern residents. And a few years ago, we were very fortunate in getting one legislator to consider introducing a bill that would recognize their rights. And unfortunately, because of the fact that people weren't so educated about what the rights of nature means, it didn't really get anywhere. So the reason why we're here today, and I'm so grateful to all of you for this, is that tomorrow night, the Port Townsend City Council is going to sign a proclamation recognizing the inherent rights of the Southern resident orca. And this is just huge. And I can't tell you how excited I am about this, because it is the first, hoping it will be one of many. Hopefully the entire state of Washington will jump on this. And then it'll just be a ripple effect throughout the rest of the United States and the world. It would just be awesome. So we're so pleased that they're doing this. And I have to give a shout out to Patrick Johnson, who is our connection there. He lives in Port Townsend, and I reached out to him and asked, hey, what do you think your city council would say about this? And so he just, put it through, helped me put things together. And Patrick is from the Green Sanctuary Environmental Action Team from Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Yeah, Deb, definitely. Thank you. It's just been awesome. And it only takes one or two people to actually, just give them the opportunity to sit down, talk about this, and see where things go. And so we've been able to get there. And I'm just so grateful. So I'll stop talking for a moment if anybody has any questions.
I don't see any specific questions. A lot of congratulations, and that's awesome. How long have you been working on this?
So we've been working. Our group has been around since 2016, so 6 years. And again, fortunate to work with Michelle Bender at Earth Law Center, who connected us with Elizabeth Dunn, who is there. Elizabeth has been instrumental too in working on breaching the lower four Snake River dams and working with Dam Sense. And it's just, what's been so wonderful is how collaborative everyone has been, because we've worked with people from PETA. We've worked with people from the National Lawyers Guild. We've worked with people from Non-Human Rights Project. And so it's just people are coming together to say, you know, we've got to make this happen. We've got to save the Southern residents. They are so, we all know there's just grace, beauty, wisdom, family, everything that we should be learning from them and honoring and respecting their grace. And instead of keeping them in a cesspool of, you know, toxins and not enough food. And so it's just been an incredible journey in meeting people and connecting on this level with people who actually get it. And this all comes about basically because we live in a country that has these laws that see everything as a commodity. As I mentioned, it's like what we value. And unfortunately, we don't value nature as much as we should. We've seen that other countries do. Other countries have acknowledged rights of nature. New Zealand recognizes animals and sentient beings. The United Kingdom now recognizes lobsters, crabs, octopus as sentient beings. San Francisco and Malibu passed resolutions years ago protecting the rights of whales and dolphins in their coastal waters. But our laws have been really ineffective in protecting the Southern residents. And so we have a system that needs to change. And what I love is that we're moving slowly, but we're moving towards Earth law instead of this anthropocentric system that we're living in right now. And what most people ask, though, is they'll question, doesn't the Endangered Species Act cover the Southern residents? And while it does to some extent, the Southern residents are continuing to decline. As we know, we've got a population of 74, with 73 in the wild, and Toki as the 74th held in captivity. But the Endangered Species Act has so many loopholes, and it just, the paradigm in which it is, it allows the ability to almost to decimate the species rather than protect and nurture and care for a species. So while we think that it's supporting, it's also part of the problem. But what we're basically trying to do is follow indigenous teachings. We know that indigenous and native cultures have been living with nature, as connected with nature. And what I find just really sad is when I read even some organizations who say we're working, we're helping to protect nature, but then they refer to nature as an it and as a thing instead of a living being with all her inhabitants. And so it's connecting with the fact that we are all interconnected and that we should be respecting nature. And what I love the most about the Lummi and the Nez Perce and all the other tribal communities is that they see nature as kin. And so ever since I've been in this movement now for 6 years, I relate to all the nature around me as well as within me as my kin. And years ago, when I would see a spider, I'd freak out and just, you know, kill it. And now it's like, oh my God, little spider. Okay, I really love you, but please don't stay in the bed. Let's move you out. I'll put you in the kitchen or someplace else. When it warms up, hang out outside. But it's just such a shift. And I find myself becoming more connected. I mean, the pandemic has been so amazing for me because I've almost become more just reclusive, just retreating into the nature that I live with, and finding that I'm just so fortunate to be here in Washington where I live, surrounded with trees, with plants, with rock, with squirrel, birds, bear, deer, Raccoony, who my nieces refer to as Raccoony, and Blue the bear. But I just find it such a joy and a privilege. And so I'm hoping that more people can get on board with rights of nature. And again, so that we can just get rights of nature for all of nature's inhabitants, water, mountains, streams, rivers, everybody. So.
That's awesome. Thank you. Someone, and I'm going to put you in touch with Christine Harvey Lawrence because she has some specific questions about something she's working on. Because she's going to be meeting with their town's mayor for coffee about the live oak trees. So I will put you two in touch because she's wanting to know if maybe you'd have any advice for her, Chris. So I'll put you in touch with her. Someone's saying here we need those lower snake dams to come down. Any shifts on that front yet? And that would be a good segue into Heather.
Hi. Yeah, great question. And thanks for asking that. Yes, they do need to come down. Shifts. Of course, there's always some shifts, just like the ground beneath our feet and is always shifting. And every once in a while, an earthquake happens. There's always shifting. But it might look right now as though it's about to burst and people are probably on the edge of their seat, with all of the action going on with the litigation and the federal government, the federal administration being held to some commitments during this latest stay. However, there's really no indication at this point that those dams will get breached in time for the southern residents. They're out of time. They really can't even wait until next year for those dams to come down. So, there's definitely some action going on. I think now is a great time to write to President Biden and tell him to do an executive order or just start working with his administration, with the Army Corps and Department of Energy, and just start making it happen. Unfortunately, Congress, many feel that Congress needs to authorize the breaching. However, I've never actually seen any evidence that the Corps can't do it, that they don't already have the authorization that they need. So there's some lack of clarity there. But even if Congress were needed, I don't think Congress is going to do anything. I think everyone understands Congress is tied up. Kathy McMorris Rogers and Dave Newhouse and even my rep, Democratic Rep Rick Larson, they're not in favor of breaching, and they're going to block it at every corner that they can. So literally, if the southern residents are to survive, those dams need to be breached this year or next year. And the only way that I feel that that's going to happen is if everybody cuts to the chase, right to the Corps, right to Biden, and keep writing and keep pressuring for the community that is advocating for these whales and the salmon that they rely on to do the same. Really dissect it. What is going to get those dams down and get the food to the southern residents that they need? And so far, it's been the same record on repeat that has led us to this point where now the spring and summer Chinook salmon from the Snake River are today over 40% quasi-extinct and expected to be 77% quasi-extinct in 3 years. So where does that leave us? I could go on. Great question. In terms of any shifts, I'd say that the one big shift perhaps is that NOAA released its report recently that just very clearly said that those dams need to be breached immediately. It needs to be implemented now to prevent any further declines in those fish, and that climate change is going to be bringing further declines and be potentially wiping them out. So they have now called for immediate breaching of the Snake River dams, and I'd say that's a pretty darn big shift. However, that doesn't mean that the science hasn't been saying that all along, but it is now come out in a report from NOAA itself, which was authorized all the way up the chain, top of Department of Commerce. There's my rant. Any other questions?
I don't think it's a rant. I think people are saying, yeah, grassroots is where it's at. And we had a pretty big show, or pretty big focus, I should say, 2 weeks ago, was it, Christina, where we talked about and gave samples of letters that could be written to President Biden, along with, the postcards and all that. So yeah, just another perspective, but the same outcome. Like, we need to keep writing. People need to get on the writing, and we have to, get on it. Someone said, good rant. It's
Nice.
it's for a cause. And let's see. Somebody said, if Heather, if you have a sample letter that could be that maybe you could share in the comments or something, that would be helpful, and maybe a link to NOAA proclamation. And you could do this after the show. People can go back and pull the comments. But anything that you want to share.
I sure will. Thank you, Suzanne, for asking.
Yeah, and there's also information on the Dam Sense website and Dam Truth. And Heather, it might be a good opportunity to talk about the electrical co-ops too, and let people know about those.
Sure. Well, the federal base resources, which include all the federal hydro dams, are meant to be serving public power. And the co-ops are part of that. The PUDs and other utilities are part of that public power. But whether you're with a co-op or a PUD or another type of utility, we all are paying the cost of the hydro projects. We are responsible for all those costs. BPA, the Bonneville Power Administration, that manages and markets that power, has to charge rates that cover the costs to produce and transmit that power, plus any other affiliated costs of that system, which includes fish and wildlife mitigation. So we're on the hook. And we're also paying debt from whoops back in the 80s. We're paying all that. They're at $14.6 billion of debt. And your co-op, your PUD, your utility, you as a ratepayer have every right and every obligation and duty to demand that the hydropower system is being run responsibly and in accordance with statutory obligations under which it is managed and provisioned. The Northwest Power Act of 1980 provisions that all affected fish and wildlife by the hydropower system has to get equal consideration as the other purposes of those hydro projects. They are clearly not. And we may not, most people are probably just unaware that you can be pressuring your utilities, especially co-ops, because you own them. We own them. I'm a co-owner of the Orcas Power and Light Cooperative, and a couple of years ago, they adopted a resolution to preserve the dams, to oppose breaching the Snake River dams and preserve the dams. And a lot of people stood up and said, we do not want you to do that. And they eventually backed down and kind of tried to keep it out of the limelight because, they didn't really want that to get out and for there to be a bigger discussion about it. But as a co-op member, so any of you out there who are getting electric service in an area with an electric co-op, you own it. And you are likely, you could be a member of, for instance, a trade group called the Pacific PNGC, the Pacific Northwest Generating Cooperative. And if you are probably also a member of Northwest River Partners, which is a proponent of keeping the Snake River dams, and your electricity is actually paying to lobby to keep those dams. So, if you want to get the dams breached and you disagree with what they're lobbying for, you should check in with your co-op and make yourself heard and have discussions with them and weigh in, because it's not out of reach. This is your purview. You are responsible for it. You're paying for it. And you have every right to stand up and make your voice heard and participate.
That's awesome. I'm going to show you guys just a real quick. This is one of the graphics that we use, and it's a little blurry, But why breach the lower Snake River dams? Christina, I don't know if you have a better view of it. It's kind of blurry for me, so I don't know. But there's cost. It talks about wind and solar, the Taxpayers Act. There's obviously the Southern residents. I mean, there's so many reasons why we should. And then here's a sample of Christina's letter. I just want to show you guys. Oops, that's not it. I'm so sorry. Dear Mr. President, we the people are demanding that the lower Snake River dams are breached this January 2023. Very specific, guys, saying when we want this done. These two dams are directly responsible for the serious decline of our keystone species, the Chinook salmon. The science here is well known and indisputable. The Chinook was placed on the endangered species list back in 1995. Declines in the salmon population also affect more than 137 animal species, which rely on the salmon for their own survival. Billions of public dollars in state and federal funding have been spent on recovery, yet goals are still not met. The Endangered Species Act clearly states that the endangered or threatened species shall be provided lands designated as critical habitat necessary for survival of the species. Mr. President, be the champion the world needs at this crucial time. With the climate challenges we all face, removal of the earthen berms on 2 of the 4 dams this January 2023 will begin the restoration of the critically endangered Chinook salmon. So I just want to point out, in the letter, you guys, you can say what you want to say, but this is a really good example because it's very specific on times and why, and very clearly stating facts. So Christina, do you want to say anything else about that?
I emailed you a better copy of the postcard.
Oh, okay.
Because I just sent you a screenshot really quick, but
Okay.
and I do have permission from Damn Truth to use that as well. And I mean, like, I just say that we keep you can also call, and I don't think it's a waste of time to call Inslee and Murray and Cantwell as well. I mean, and the Marine Corps of Engineer, or not Marine, sorry, Army. I think that the more calls, the more writing that we do, the better, because that's what we need to do to get this done. And I just went to target President Biden because I've been writing to Murray and calling Murray and Inslee for so many years. And so when I did start really researching about how he can he can just do an executive order, I was like, well, we should just go straight to the source. And that's why I started the campaign for President Biden. And like here, I have my postcards, and they have the letter on the back. And this is what I do. I get a stack of postcards and I go around and I get people to sign them, and then I take them back and I put a stamp on them, and then I mail them. That way I know that they're being mailed. So if everyone's doing this, then we'll be getting a lot of letters in, and please do. that's yeah. I mean, it's an ongoing thing. We can't stop. We can't stop. Oh, and the reason why I said the 2 at the end of the letter is because we can't do all of the dams at the same time. So that's why we still want to get all 4 breached, but we want to start with 2. So if that was confusing, that's why. So
Gotcha. Yeah. Thanks, Christina. And I see some people putting links, and it just says Facebook user. So I had to go to Facebook to see who's putting all this wealth of information on there. And it's the 2 Deborahs. So it's Deborah Allers and Deb Cruz sitting there adding all this stuff. So Deborah Allers, thank you for Deborah Allers for being there and putting all this information on here. We really appreciate it. And yes, you can go to I just clicked out of it. I'm so sorry. The damntruth.org to get a lot of this, but here's that better graphic that Christina sent over to me. So
they also have a petition on their site that is directly to the president, and they have a lot of good information.
Yeah, that link is in I posted that link
Oh, okay.
to the action. Yeah, and I think Carla has a question. did you have a question?
Sorry, I was texting you, Annette.
I saw it.
Thank you, Deb. This is a very good question, I think. What can I do as a foreigner if I'm in Mexico, but I do care about what's going on with the dams, because I see the planet as a whole, and everything that I do in Mexico affects what happens in Africa and Asia. Like, we're all connected. So I know that I'm not from the US, but is there a way that I can do something when I'm here in Mexico?
Call President Biden anyway.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Sign the petitions, do the Corps of Engineers. It doesn't matter if you're in this country or not.
Okay.
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
That's
Because
great.
sometimes people are like, okay, why should I go and email or call someone if it's not even my country? But I think we should care.
Yeah.
Because we're all connected. Like I said, you're so close to us. So yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
I think that's just as powerful if it sent a much more powerful message.
Mhm.
You know, I also want to kind of convey that with the dams and the southern residents and TokiTV, you know, this just goes back to a very old and stale way of thinking, and we're still living with the remnants of what has destroyed that population and stolen them from the ocean here. This is an egregious disrespect for living beings among us that we need, who we need to live amongst and together with. And it's time to finish with the way they've been treated, the way the hydro system is treating them, the way captivity is treating them, and the way our encroachment is treating them in the overdevelopment of the Pacific Northwest. It's all the same.
And we are their voice. We are their voice, you know, and so yeah, Carla, thank you for that. And I know other people have done that. Raywin, other people too from Germany have been writing.
Yeah.
It's, you know, yeah, it's a global effort. Absolutely.
Yes. Wonderful.
Valerie.
I'm excited. Like, I'm going to start emailing him today. I'm going to shout like in Spanish.
Well, you know, and I know someone who could probably get some postcards sent over to you, Carla, as well. So
Okay, wonderful.
someone's really good at sending postcards, so we'll can work on that too. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
What else? What else, Heather? Did we miss something that did we
I-
off track?
I just want to congratulate Port Townsend for doing this proclamation, and that I just think it's so fitting that it's some of the members of the North Olympic Orca Pod, the orca suit wearing ladies, live there. I'm just super stoked for that, and I think perhaps that you know, they've done a lot of great work and helped pave the way. Every little bit helps to put on an orca suit and show up at rallies, and it changes perception. So thank you so much, Great Old Broads, North Olympic Orca Pods, Deborah Ellers. I mean, just rejoice. And I really am struck by how that this is a first, that Port Townsend has done something that hasn't been done before here for the Southern residents. And, you know, we get folks who've been elected to office in different counties and localities, or they're decision makers in their government. And when they're asked to implement some type of rights of nature elements, take those steps in their government, they always, well, many of them will say, oh, I love that. That's great. And I'd like to, but I don't know how to do it. And then they just put it on the back burner or say no. And it takes one success to say, look, it can be done. And it's time that we not allow ourselves to have those excuses. So just congratulations, Port Townsend and Chris.
That's awesome.
Bravo. Bravo.
Yeah, thank you. And Chris said, please sign our declaration to support the inherent rights of the Southern resident orcas. And there's a petition. So we're gonna I will get this into the chat as well.
It's already
did?
in there.
You
Yep.
did? Oh, you're so good. You're so good. Thank you so much. And then speaking of Deborah Ellers, I just want to say it was so cute. I was sitting there and I was there in Lummi, and we were in line getting ready to start Jewel James honoring ceremony, and this orca taps me on on my shoulder, and I turn around and there's Deborah Allers. I'm Deborah Allers. I'm like, it was just so cute. She was there in her orca costume. But yeah, thank you, Deborah Allers. You're all over it, and just thank you so much. We really appreciate you and everything that you do. So just want to give a little shout out to her and say thank you.
Also, Karen Anderson David, I wanted to say that about her. She goes every week, every single week, rain or shine or snow, whatever. And she's out there with her huge banner. And I mean, she does that. She's done that every week all year. So
Wow.
I just wanted to give a shout out to her because like that really, you know, it spreads awareness. And since we were thanking people, I wanted to thank her.
That's awesome.
Where does she go every week and stand out with her banner?
She goes to different places. She goes
Oh.
out to the highway. She goes wherever, downtown Seattle, the marketplace. They go a lot of different places, and it's awesome. So I just wanted to give a shout out to her too. Give a shout out to everyone because, like you said, it's like, you know, everyone together, and it's really good to be with all the people that are on the same page. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate with Legal Rights for the Say the Sea and getting a lot of great support. We need volunteers, so if anybody wants to help out, please let me know. But I'd like to give a shout out to, you know, Damn Sense, Damn Truth, Deborah, and the North Olympic Orca Pod. Also, Orca Network, Howard Garrett, and Susan Berta, and Cindy Hansen. And of course, Ken Balcom at Center for Whale Research, because we wouldn't be here without the work that he's done. And then Deborah Giles at Wild Orca. And then, of course, the Lummi. I don't think we would be anywhere without the Lummi Nation and following in their footsteps and trying so hard to honor their leadership and commitment in doing what we can. And as well with the Nez Person following what they're doing with the dam breaching. It's just so important to recognize all of this. And what I'm really concerned about, though, is that we've got so many amazing people doing such great work that just recently Heather and I lost a colleague just a couple weeks ago. And I just wish that he could have known about the Port Townsend City Council proclamation before dying. You know, one of the concerns I have so strongly is that all these people who have been working on the dams for decades, that they may not see the dams breached after everything they've done. And so everything is so urgent. So I appreciate everything everyone's doing here. Get the postcards, call, do everything you can to get these freaking dams breached. Because it's just been going on for so long. And there was recently an article by Ed Cheney in Heather, what it was in the panel art
It's
paper,
in the
wasn't it?
Orcasonian right now. I'll put a link into the and Ed Cheney's been at this for 50 years. He's watched those dams get built. He's watched the Northwest Power Act created. He's watched it be violated. He's been in natural resources management in the government for a long, long time. So there's not one you can put over on Ed. That's for sure.
Yeah, I put the link in our chat, and Ed, if maybe you could share that. But yeah, he's nailed everything so beautifully. And if people want to share that, and then I'm always telling people, one thing that I've seen is that you know, people are visual learners, and I think it's helpful to show Dam to Extinction. You can see that on waterbear.org, waterbear.com for free. And we've used that in Meaningful Movies project here in Washington to share with our communities. And then Jim Waddell has spoken afterwards, as well as others. And it just helps bring everything into our lives. It's kind of like we think it's so far away, but it's not. And as Heather was sharing, we are complicit in keeping these dams alive through our electric companies. I'm with Peninsula Light, and they are strong supporters of Bonneville Power, and they do not want to let these hydropower systems go. So we have to do everything we can to fight them as well. But it's something that we can do. And so I hope people will look into their utility company and find out who are they supporting hydropower? Are they supporting alternatives? Is it a co-op? I have a voice, so use it, please. And that was my rant. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. And you mentioned that you need volunteers. So, are there things that people, if they wanted to reach out and get in touch with you, are there things people could do from home as well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, definitely. I encourage everybody to do stuff remotely and stay safe and healthy. We need help with social media. I am not a social media whiz. That's a huge one. And then educating our communities and getting to our elected officials and decision makers. So if you're interested, please reach out. You can connect through legalrightsforthesalich'elh-tenaut.org.
And I don't know, do we have a banner for that? Can you say that again slowly?
Yeah, legalrightsforthesalich'elh-tenaut.org. I saw it go through before, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
We have a lot. We have there.
Yeah,
We have
there
like
you go.
a bazillion banners loaded. So thanks, Deb Cruz, for being on it. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, thanks, Deb.
Chris, do you want me to show that that trailer is
Oh,
now?
yes, please, if you would. Thank you. Yeah, this is a documentary. It's called Rights of Nature Global Movement that you can watch on YouTube. And we're just going to show a trailer of it. But it's what we share in workshops when we're talking about rights of nature and educating our community members. It's very brief. Again, I'm so much more visual learner, and it just helps explain things a little bit. So yes, thanks, Annette.
No problem. Let's get that up. Here we go.
Our minuscule brain cannot perceive what is the might and sophistication of nature. Yet, without me needing to understand everything, the world exists. The land is not real estate. You own real estate. That there is land and nature, and nobody owns that. This idea of time, my brain can stretch back 30 years, the land's millions, and I get to be connected to that.
Since the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, humans have viewed nature as a resource from which to extract commodities: fish, energy, minerals, timber. Nature is also seen as a place to dispose of waste, often without considering the impacts it may have on the human condition, whose lives depend on a healthy ecosystem. Today, these environmental challenges continue, but a new idea, pulled from ancient indigenous practice, may provide the earth with a rights-based solution.
You are the child, and that land out there, that earth mother of yours, is your parent. No human owns your mother.
All right. Thank you. For putting a link up, Deb, as well. Definitely something I know I'm going to watch. Again, guys, this is got in touch with Heather and Chris just late last night, and they're here. And obviously, we could hear much more about them and what they're up to, and we want to. And just so you know, we've already invited them to come back so that we can have more focused sessions on everything that they're up to, because we kind of covered a lot in this short time frame, but so much stuff out there. And again, if you guys want to volunteer, reach out, and like she said. And Chris, is there anything that you wanted to say about environmental grief?
Yeah, so I coined the term environmental grief 2001 when I was focusing on my doctoral research, asking scientists how they were coping with the decline of the southern residents. And I defined it as the grief reaction stemming from the environmental loss of ecosystems caused by natural or human-made events. And what I found, being a lifelong environmental advocate, is that for me personally, the rites of nature seems to fit really well in helping me coping with my grief, because one of the most important things that we can do when we're grieving is to take action. It's super easy for us to, to just stay under the covers and just let the world go by and sort of just sit with our grief. It's great to learn from grief, but not to necessarily wallow in it. Let's take action and do something. And when I teach a class on it, I'm often sharing a video that Mothers Against Drunk Drivers used from years ago. And it just shows so clearly the power that grief has over us. And it's just, like I said, it's just so important. In fact, Deborah Ellers was mentioning this too, how important it is that we take action. And for me, I've protested and rallied and written letters and done everything, and nothing seems to change. And with the rights of nature, we're changing laws, and that's what's important. That's what needs to happen. And so I encourage everybody, if you're experiencing environmental grief, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to support you, but also let's take action, and hopefully you'll join us with the rights of nature.
Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Heather, both of you, for being on with us today. We really appreciate all this knowledge and looking into, and then also just giving you a platform. Like you said, more people need to know about this. And so however we can assist in helping spread the word, and this show, TokiTV, is all about Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, and this is her family, and it's important to all of us. And so thank you very much. And again, you guys are welcome to come back. Just please let me know anytime you want to come on, or we can talk after this, and after the show's over, if you guys want to hang out for a minute, we can see when we want to have you guys back on. But thank you very much. Before we kind of go on to like announcements, Carla, is there anything else you wanted to say to Heather or Chris before we close with them?
Oh, thank you. I did all my notes.
That's awesome.
Thank you. I'm like, oh, this is too much information. So thank you, ladies. It's been very educational, and I'm going to share everything about this on Keiko, the Untold Story of the Star Free Willy, as well as my personal Facebook. So I think that, like everyone said before, on the comments, I saw beautiful comments saying that we're all one. So we need to stop thinking about, how do you say, borders? You have to make borders invisible, so we are all one. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, Heather, and thank you, Dr. Chris. What you said about grieving is super powerful, so thank you for that too. I think that instead of using that against us, we need to use it to help others and to move and do something with that energy. And I think that helping is beautiful. So thank you, Dr. Chris.
Oh, thank you. Muchas gracias.
Oh, muy bien, muy bien.
Yeah, if we harness the grief and use it to take action, that's what we really need to do. And in getting support and having a group like this can really help with that, because we're not alone.
Yes.
And this helps normalize that, which is really important. So thank you.
No, thank you, Dr. Chris.
Awesome. Alejandro, is there anything you wanted to say before we talk about future announcements?
Everyone, thank you so much for everything, for the information. I just signed the petition for the legal right of the Southern Residents Orcas. I just did.
Thank you.
It is what it is, as it is, and see you everybody on December 13th. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alejandro. Deborah?
Ladies, you have inspired me and re-energized. Everything you've said rings true in my truth chord, and I have notes too. So I just wanted to share one other little tidbit that I use with the letters to the president. We all pretty much have a lunch bag, right, with a reusable water bottle and everything. I printed them out and I carry them in my lunch bag, so that when that conversation comes up, oh, by the way, there's a letter, and that's right there. And then they can just sign it, name, address, put it back in your lunch bag, and in the envelope it goes.
Awesome.
But thank you. Very inspiring, very re-energizing.
Thank you. Deb Cruz?
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Chris. Chris will be working with you later.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I hope that everybody's able to live stream the city council meeting tomorrow. And we put the link in there. Deborah was kind enough to find it. I don't know how she did because I was looking before, but Deborah found it. So please, if you're not able to attend, please live stream it. I'm just so grateful for all the people who are going to be able to make it out there because I unfortunately won't be able to. So I'm just totally looking forward to this. It's as Heather and I have been saying, this is so huge and it's so exciting. So again, let's just keep it going though. Just it's not going to be the only one. We're just going to keep it going across the world.
Are the people, so where do people go? Where's the meeting happening? I thought I had put your post up here, but
I'll get the link again for you. Hold on a second.
So this is a post that the famous post we saw that we had. So 6:30 tomorrow at 6:30, guys. City Council chambers. Thank you again, Christina, Molly. Anything you want to say to them before we move on?
Just very inspiring. It's nice to meet the fellow activists that are making this stuff happen. And I'm with you. I'm going to volunteer and get some more of this action going on because this is what we need. And just thank you. And yeah, very inspiring.
Thank you, Christina. As we said at the beginning, it's just so great to see you because we've just seen your name everywhere. So just thank you so much for all that you are doing.
Oh, of course. For them. It's for us.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah.
You know, it's just what we need to do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both again for coming on such short notice, and please do come back. Someone's saying, I'm trying to see, because this doesn't always show me who's commenting. Is Peggy on, or is someone giving a shout out to Peggy? I can't tell. Let's see. Oh, Sylvia's talking about Peggy. Okay, yeah, for sure. Peggy's all about this too. Thanks, Sylvia, for putting that there. Gosh, guys, well, we all know the big meeting is coming up on December the 13th. We're all very excited about that, to see what this day of listening is all about. And we are going to continue to have our show each week. On Thursdays, we are also going to continue our 30-minute meditation and visioning session that we've been doing, gosh, for a little while now, since I think beginning of October, maybe. It's been a minute, but super powerful 30 minutes, guys. If you want to join us on Thursday, and that is at 5:30 Pacific time, 8:30 Eastern time, 30 minutes, please do join us. And then I just want to announce, so next week, December the 11th, Tim Ramithis reached out to me a while back, and Tim's going to start putting some posts in the comments. There's some links in the comments, but a while back about Corky 2. As you guys all know, Tim is about Corky 2, and a few groups, he's going to put some links to the Facebook groups on there. But December the 11th, which is next Sunday, will mark 53 years of her capture at Pender Harbor. So TokiTV is going to host Tim Ramithis and his group. And it is, I think, Debbie Bailey, Lisa Foster, and Brandon King are all going to be part of the show next week to honor Corky 2, and also to honor that she's 57, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong in the post, but also 57 years. God, what a strong, amazing, brilliant orca. Yeah.
Have you seen the documentary on it? Has any one of you seen the documentary?
Yes, I just, yeah.
Oh, I know, it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. And so next week, again, TokiTV is going to host Corky 2, an episode about Corky 2. And so we can spend some time honoring that. And this is Tim's post, A16, 52 years, 11 months, 23 days, 19,351 days a slave, 635 months. Marine Land of the Pacific, Rancho Palos Verdes, California, from December 11th, 1969 until January 21st of 1987. And then since that time, since January 21st, 1987, she has been at SeaWorld San Diego. So again, next week, join us. Christina, I'm not sure why you're sideways. I'm not sure. I'm gonna remove you and put you back. I was just looking at Christina for her action, and okay. I think she's having problems because it fell off. But yeah, so Tim, please put some links in there for people to join the groups. We are going to stream to this page as we're hosting, but we're also going to stream to Tim's page for the residents as well. So we'll be streaming to multiple platforms next week. So the first probably 50 minutes will be dedicated to Corky. Thank you, Tim. He's putting everything up in the comments now. And then, of course, we will talk about the meeting because I'll be in Miami on Sunday, so doing the show from Miami. And so many people will be there. But yes, thank you. And please join us next week, guys. We are over an hour, and I'm going to close with our song that was written for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. So if you have not seen this, and then Heather and Chris, you're welcome to stay on after the show closes. We usually just, have a quick goodbye. So the show with that. You guys, thank you for joining us. We love you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Deb Cruz, this has never happened. What do we do? I'm gonna remove it.
Well, we all know the song now, Annette. We could all sing
Want to
it.
sing it? I think Carla should sing it.
I'm just kidding.
I can do a well show to finish if you want. Everybody will get mad at me.
Just bear with me. I don't give up. So I'm gonna find it. Hold on.
People is waiting for the song.
I gotta find it now.
They're gonna think you are joking. You are making jokes.
Now it's a challenge. So hold on. Let's see.
And in the
Earlier when I
meantime,
wasn't supposed to.
she is whole and she is home.
Yes.
Where she belongs.
Where she belongs. There's no